reflection, see? But when you grow plants on the wall of a south-facing building, you capture more of the light, and the taller the building, the more land you actually have created. You can therefore think of the built environment in two ways. One is a mere lifting of the flat earth in the z-axis. You haven't lost any growing space, you've merely lifted it up. And that's what rooftop gardens take advantage of. But at the same time, you've basically created a mountain slope by pushing that roofland up and making a perpendicular slope, albeit a very steep mountain slope. It can nonetheless be used to grow an enormous amount of vegetation, as these images show. Now, I didn't believe it myself until I journeyed to Madrid and stood in front of one of their famous green buildings near the art museum in the city center. Think of all that wasted surface area in normal cities, and how much more we can do in the urban environment than in the countryside if we put our minds to it. Dr. Dixon Despomier of Columbia University champions the idea of cities as solution in his seminal book, The Vertical Farm, Feeding the World in the 21st Century. He describes in detail how a new urban ecology can be created, even using existing infrastructure. All current buildings in our cities pipe fresh water up to the roof and carry contaminated water, in quotes, down in sewage pipes. The energy investment has already been made getting the water up, and gravity takes care of bringing it down. Additionally, cities have enormous amounts of surface area, rooftops, balconies, porches, parking structures, roads and parking lots and pavement that can capture rainfall. This makes cities the perfect place for agriculture, particularly because after use and on its way down, the water is laden with nutrients. Yes, the phosphorus in our soaps and detergents, and the nitrogen and potassium in our toilet wastes, along with the micronutrients we wash out of our food and beverage containers, make for nearly ideal irrigation water. So think of it this way. Clean water is piped up to the top of a building from a reservoir, supplemented by rainwater, picks up nutrients from our urine and feces and cleaning materials when we wash our hands and wash the dishes, and this liquid fertility in the gray water and black water is used to grow carbon sequestering and nutritious plants on the levels immediately below. Despomier is one of many visionaries who've influenced me to see our cities as the solution rather than the problem. As an urban planner, I share the obsession to transform our cities into ecological paradises. And years ago, as a graduate student in UCLA's urban planning department, I presented a paper at a planning conference in Belgium called Looking Towards Zootopia. This was decades before the Disney Pixar film Zootopia came out. My argument was based partially on the work of Austrian artist and architect Friedensreich Hundertwasser, who not only conceived of the idea of what he called the tree tenant project, but actually built examples of it in apartment buildings in Vienna in the early 1980s.